What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If. If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my third channel, so if you want some more what ifs, go check out my other channels. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. I'm happy to see that you are both here on time, as I need to speak with you about the future of Team 7. As you know, with Sasuke and Sakura's failure to pass the Genin test for a second time, they have been relieved of their Genin rank and returned to the academy for remedial education. This however creates the problem that without them Team 7 is left short-handed. Under normal circumstances, the remaining Genin would simply be put on hold until a new batch of Genin graduated and the empty slots could be filled. However, after seeing what Naruto is capable of, I feel that it would be a disservice to both him and the village not to have him on active duty. Therefore, I have made the following decisions. First and foremost, Kakashi, because I cannot justify having a Jonin of your caliber assigned to instruct a single student. You have been reassigned as the captain of a new team that will be designated Team Kakashi. Your team will consist of 1 permanent and 2 rotating members and will carry out those missions which I deem vital to the village. When not on a mission, if you so chose to, you may continue to train Naruto in those areas where his current level of training may be lacking. Hiruzen told the masked shinobi, who seemed to be taking the decommissioning of his Genin squad with little concern. I will strive to perform at my very best, Hokage-sama. Kakashi replied, bowing to the third fire shadow. As for you, Naruto, you are being assigned as Team Kakashi's only other permanent member. I understand that it may seem strange to assign a Genin to a high-level team such as this, but in your case it seems justifiable. This is because I believe that the only thing that is currently separating you from the rank of Chunin is experience, which is something you will be able to gain with Kakashi. Unfortunately, I cannot rightly place a Genin on a team of veteran shinobi, as it would set a bad precedent. That would frankly come back to bite me in the ass. Therefore, I am giving you a provisional promotion to the rank of Chunin for the next 6 months, after which you will be evaluated by a panel of Jonin that will advise me as to what rank you should hold. Based on their evaluation, the reports of your fellows, and my own observations, I will determine whether or not to make your promotion permanent. Make no mistake, Naruto, this is as serious can be. It has never been done, and is only being done this time because you are a unique case. Do not make me regret giving you this opportunity, Hiruzen said as he took a draw from his pipe. I understand, Hokage-sama, and promise to do my best to live up to your expectations. Naruto returned as he bowed to the Hokage. That is all any of us can do, said the third before dismissing them with a wave of his hand. Hinata slowly made her way through the courtyard of the Hyuga compound, wanting nothing more than to take a long hot shower and go to bed. After witnessing Sasuke and Sakura's Genin test earlier that morning, Kurenai had put Team 8 through a long and painful day of training and deranked missions. Her excuse for the rigorous increase was that if the dead last could perform at such a high level, then they should be able to as well. And although the reasoning sound, it would be a long time before any of the members of Team 8 would come close to Naruto's level. Hinata-sama, a woman not much older than Hinata, demurely called as she approached and bowed toward the girl. Yes, Asa-chan, mistress, your father wishes to see you in his study. Asa replied, I see, thank you for telling me. I'll go to him now, Hinata said, wondering what she had done that would cause her father to wish to see her at such a late hour. Reaching her destination, Hinata paused for a moment in order to settle her growing nervousness before gently tapping at her father's study door. Come in, daughter, Hayashi's stern voice responded, pulling Hinata to enter into her father's private domain. Standing before her father, Hinata immediately got the impressions that whatever her father wanted with her would not be something in her best interest. Not that she didn't trust her father to look out for her best interest, she had simply come to understand that as the eldest daughter of the clan head, her interest would be inevitably tied to the interest of the clan, regardless what she might want for herself. You wish to see me, father? Yes, Hinata, I wanted to speak to you about a rumor that I had heard lately concerning yourself and Naruto Uzumaki. It seems that you have been seen in his company on several occasions, and I would simply like to know the nature of your relationship. I'm asking you directly because I would be disappointed were I to find no other sources that you had been dating the boy without first seeking my approval. Hayashi calmly questioned, leveling his steel gaze upon Hinata as though daring her to tell him anything but exactly what he wanted to know, knowing that the man before her would accept nothing less than complete honesty. And feeling that she had honestly done nothing wrong, Hinata replied, it is true, father, that I have been spending time with Naruto-kun. However, we are not dating or involved in any kind of romantic relationship. We have simply been enjoying the other's company. Judging his eldest child for a moment, Hayashi weighed what she had said before breathing a sigh and shaking his head in displeasure. Yes, I expected that would be the case. When I first heard that you were spending time with Uzumaki, I allowed myself to think that maybe you had finally decided to take hold of the things you wanted in life. Knowing how you feel for the boy, I thought maybe just maybe you had finally grown tired of being the doormat you seemed determined to be. However, it seems that I was wrong and you are just the same as you ever were. However, considering your introverted nature, I shouldn't be surprised. Truthfully, I'm more surprised that you have managed to keep the boy's interest as long as you have. I honestly can't understand how, though. Perhaps if you were sleeping with him then I could understand it, but being as weak as you are, I know that cannot be the case. Still, the boy must see something in you worthwhile. I'm just damned if I know what it is. Still, I suppose it doesn't matter. However, what does matter is how your involvement with him is reflected on the clan. As long as you are heir, I cannot have you going around with a boy to whom I have not been formally introduced and approved of. Therefore, if you wish to continue to see Uzumaki, you will invite him to our home for dinner so that we might be formally introduced and I might get to know him. I expect this to be done within the week. Now leave me, as I still have much to do before retiring for the night. Hayashi said with finality. Despite her father's cruel words, Hinata understood from the tone of the elder man's voice that what had been said was not up for discussion. He had learned what he wanted to know past judgment and issued his instructions on the matter. All that remained was for her to carry out his order like any good little Hyuga. I understand, Father, Hinata said as she bowed and left the clan head to work. It's good to have you home, Team Kakashi. I take it that the mission was a success and that there were no significant problems. Hiruzen welcomed the four-man team currently occupying his office. Hokage-sama, the mission was completed without any problems. Both primary and secondary targets were eliminated and there was nothing left behind that could be traced back to the leaf. Kakashi reported to the village leader as he thumbed through his ever-present little orange book. Excellent work as always. You and your team have earned a few weeks off. I'll inform you when I have another mission for you. Until then, you're all dismissed, said the third, taking a draw from his pipe while watching the team bow and leave his office. Kakashi, a moment please, leaving the others to go their own ways. Kakashi turned back to the third after closing the door behind his departing team. How did Naruto perform on the mission? Hiruzen asked. Honestly, if I didn't know that this was his first B ranked, I would have sworn that he was veteran. His teamwork is flawless, his timing impeccable, and his jutsu are devastating. Whether that's due to the 2 months of training we went through or his prior training with QB, I couldn't say. All I know for sure is that given all that he has shown, he is capable of. I don't believe that he has shown a tenth of what he can really do, Kakashi reported. I see. Then given what you have seen, how would you grade him? Hiruzen asked the copy ninja Lord Hokage. Based only on what I have witnessed and have been told by my team, I would have to say that Naruto is at least at the level of a Jonin. However, if I'm honest about what I believe the boy is capable of, then I would have to classify him as a Class S shinobi, regardless of what rank he holds. The masked ninja truthfully reported to his superior. Thank you, Kakashi, I'll take what you have said under advisement. You're dismissed, Sarutobi said, turning away from the masked man in order to ponder the ever-growing question of Naruto Uzumaki. Sarutobi slowly read over the report of teammates' progress. Since they were first activated over the course of 2 months, they had successfully completed 37 D-ranked missions, varying from catching Tora to in-village escort and guard duty. As a team, they had proven that they could work well together and had proven that they were ready to move beyond the relatively simple tasks that D ranks offered. Kurenai, I would like to commend you and your team for the excellent work you have been doing. Thank you, Okage-sama. It is our privilege to serve, replied the crimson-eyed woman as she and her team bowed to the village leader. Based upon your exemplar record, I feel that Team 8 might be ready for a more challenging assignment. Therefore, Kurenai, if you feel that your team is ready for it, I would like to offer you your first C-ranked mission. Glancing towards her charges, Kurenai could see that they held a mixture of eagerness and apprehension at the prospect of the higher-level mission. However, as their sensei, she knew that as a team they were more than ready for the challenges that such a mission would offer. Thank you for the opportunity to further prove ourselves, Hokage-sama. We will gladly accept the mission, Kurenai answered. Very well then, Iruka, send for the client, Sarutobi said, turning to the scared Chunin as he took out the scroll with the mission details. After a few moments' wait, an older gray-haired mustached man entered the room carrying a half-empty bottle and looking as though the one he held was not his first. Team 8, this is Tazuna, the master bridge builder from the land of waves. Your mission is to escort him back to his homeland and guard him while he completes his current project. Sarutobi read from the mission scroll. Wait one fucking minuet, I don't want a bunch of kids for this, Tazuna drunkenly complained to the third. I assure you, sir, that my team is more than capable of carrying out the mission you have contracted the village for. Kurenai quickly responded to the drunk's complaint of team selection. I don't know, I mean look at them, one is Fleabag with a puppy, another looks as though he's freezing to death, and the girl looks like she's afraid of her own shadow. Is the really the best you can offer, Tazuna asked Sarutobi. I promise you Bridge Builder. Although a genin team, these shinobi are more than enough to fill your needs. However, if you would prefer a more experienced team, then you are free to withdraw your request for a C rank mission and issue one for a B rank. The Hokage replied with a reassuring grandfatherly smile, looking from the Hokage to the team that he had been offered and taking a moment to consider his options. The Bridge Builder lowered his head and sighed. I meant no disrespect. I'm sure that they will be fine. Then if that's all settled, Team 8 go home and packed for a long mission. We will meet at the main gates tomorrow morning precisely at 8. Until then you are dismissed. Kurenai instructed her team before bowing towards those present and leaving the mission hall. Entering into the forest of his mind, Naruto found himself standing before his adoptive father and current king of demons. You wish to see me, Father? Naruto asked as he bowed before the demon lord. Yes, my son, I sense that soon you will gain your fourth tail, and the power that will come with it will be unlike anything you have experienced so far. However, because of the training you have received thus far, it will not be anything that you will not be able to control and quickly master. I mention this because with your ascension into a four tail, you are ready to begin the first phase of your training to become the next Vulpine Sage. However, before we can begin, you will first need to complete Ukenjutsu training by claiming your blade. Kyubi spoke to the boy before him. I understand, and I am ready for the task at hand, Father. The blonde replied. So be it. The ancient demon spoke as a simple wooden door appeared in the midst of the forest. The pair currently occupied through that door awaits your blade. All you need to do is find and claim it. However, be warned, should you choose incorrectly, then your blade will renounce you, and its power as well as any chance of becoming a sage will forever be lost to you. How will I know which is the correct one? Naruto asked with a sense of worry in his voice. I cannot answer that, my son, because a Vulpine's blade is sentient. The blade itself chooses the method in which it will test a person's worthiness. Thus there is no way of knowing what the test will entail until you actually face the test. However, I will give you a small piece of advice that has been passed down from each of those that has managed to claim their blade. Believe in yourself, and you cannot go wrong regarding his adoptive father's words. Naruto bowed to the demon lord and confidently opened the door leading to the chamber of blades, only to find himself standing before the clones that had helped him to defeat Kakashi during his genin test. I suppose that somehow you were part of the test, the blonde asked his other selves. Yes, Naruto-sama. Behind us is the door that leads to the room that contains that which you seek. However, the door is sealed and can only be opened with our deaths. You must therefore strike us down if you wish to become more powerful as your clones. Our place is not to hinder you but to assist you, whatever the task. Therefore we will not stand in your way in this endeavor and offer our lives so that you may gain the power you seek, said the female clone as the pair lowered their heads to the blonde standing over the pair. Naruto considered what he had been told before sighing loudly and chuckling to himself. It's not worth it, Naruto said as he turned to walk away, only to be stopped by the male clone grasping his hand. Wait, Naruto-sama, what are you saying? You must kill us if you wish to claim your rightful power, the male clone said as he drew his own sword and offered it to the retreating blonde. And say I do kill you, what am I supposed to do then? Naruto asked, confusing the clones. I don't understand. Once you have slain us, the power will be yours to do with as you please, the female responded. True, killing you would give me power, but at what cost? The blonde asked, turning to face the duo. Cost? There would be no cost, as we are merely clones, a mere extension of your will, said the male, and there is where you would be wrong. Just because you are a clone you assume that your only purpose in life is to serve your creator's will, whereas that might be true, it does not negate the fact that your life has purpose. If I were to kill you simply to gain more power, then what would that make me? I know that what I'm saying may sound confusing, and honestly, I'm finding it hard to explain, but this is how I understand it. People believe power to be a means to an end, but they're wrong. Power is an end unto itself. If I were to take that sword and run it through your heart, then I would gain more power, but in gaining that power I would be betraying everything that I believe in, everything that I am. Therefore for me, if killing you is the only way that I can claim my blade, then it isn't worth it, Naruto answered in the best way that he knew how, seeing that their creator would not take the path to power that he had been offered. The clone stood and bowed to the blonde. Naruto-sama, you have shown that you are not blinded by the prospect of gaining power without consequence, and have earned the right to claim that which you would have readily given up, the male clone said as the door behind him vanished. My name is Anri, and my partner is Saito. Through your words and deeds you have unlocked our power, and from this day forward we will gladly fight by your side, Anri said as the pair once more knelt before the blonde, and twin Wakizashi appeared at his feet. Naruto easily felt the pulse of chakra that each of the twin blades emitted as his claimed them for his own, and although he could feel that the power they held was great, he could tell that there much more to twins that he had yet to discover. So let me ask you, was that really you during the genin test, or are you just borrowing their forms? No, it was truly us that aided you during your test. When you summon clones to assist you, your heart called out to us and we answered that call, but know that you have earned the use of our power. We will be able to assist you at any time. Saito answered his master. Does that mean that you have the ability to appear as humans as well as swords? No my lord, while inside your mind we take this form in order to better communicate with you. However, in the real world, the only way for us to appear as humans would be for you to create shadow clone bodies and sacrifice enough chakra for us to complete our task while in those bodies. Anri replied, I see. So if I create a bodies for the both of you and split a tail's worth of chakra between the two, you could function as normally as anyone else for as long as you had chakra. Naruto reasoned. Essentially my lord. Saito confirmed. Interesting, the blonde simply replied as Anri and Saito faded away and Naruto came to stand once more before the nine tails. I congratulate you my son, not only have you gained the use of your blade, but you are one of a select few to ever have the privilege of wielding twins. Kyuubi proudly said, thank you father, but if I might ask, what exactly are the Vulpine blades? From what I was told, I know that they aren't simple weapons, nor are they some kind of summon. So what are they? In days long past, many of the Vulpine asked that very question. When the first Vulpine first called upon a blade, it was believed that it was simply a weapon. It was not until it was discovered that the blades were sentient that we realized what they truly are. My son, a Vulpine's blade is the demon lord explained, until an approaching outside presences alerted both father and son that Naruto was no longer alone in the outside world. Quickly returning to the waking world, Naruto was suddenly joined by a lone Kunoichi who he recognized as one of the Hokage's personal attendants. Naruto Uzumaki, Hokage-sama asked that you report to him immediately, the messenger stated with a well-restrained amount of disdain in her voice. Thank you for the information, Naruto replied before he slightly bowed and vanished in a flash of crimson, appearing outside the Hokage's office. Naruto wasn't surprised when the woman serving as the Hokage's secretary didn't flinch at his arrival. Not that her non-reaction was anything out of the ordinary. After all, she had faithfully served in the position for a number of years and had become well acquainted with the blonde's antiques. He's waiting to see you, Naruto-san, you may go right in, the woman said, never turning her attention from her current task. Thank you, Ami-san, the blonde returned as he was passing through the office doors. You wanted to see me? GG, good Naruto, you're here. A situation has arisen that demands a prompt response. Given the situation, I would normally send a more experienced shinobi to deal with this, but as chance would have it, you are the only one available at the moment. However, I am aware of your abilities, and based on the reports of Kakashi and several others, I am sure that you can handle anything that might come up. With that said, 7 hours ago, Team 8 deployed on a C-ranked escort mission to the Land of Waves. Roughly an hour ago, we received a report from Kurenai stating that while en route, the team was attacked by a pair of B-class Ryu shinobi that were apparently targeting the client. During the ensuing battle, Team 8 managed to eliminate the enemy and as of now has chosen to continue with the mission. Sarutobi told the blonde before him, do we know who the enemy shinobi were? Yes, Kurenai identified them as the demon brothers Gozu and Meizu. They were known associates of the A-class missing mean Zabuza Momochi, better known as the demon of the hidden mist. Because of their involvement, I have reclassified the mission as A-ranked. Unfortunately, I do not believe that either Kurenai or her team are capable of dealing with this situation on their own. Therefore, for the duration of this mission, I am promoting you to the rank of Provisional Jonin and ordering you to deploy immediately. Your orders are to rendezvous with Team 8 and analyze the situation. Based on your opinion and available information, you are to either return to the village or continue with the mission, Sarutobi said as he briefed the blonde. Understood, GG, I'll move out right away, Naruto said as he turned to leave before Sarutobi spoke again. And Naruto, one last thing. Should the situation warrant it, you are to immediately take command of the mission and Team 8 regardless of the circumstance, the third stated in complete seriousness as he handed over the mission details and his written orders. Naruto could hardly believe what he had just been told. However, he understood that sometimes for the good of a mission, tough decisions and hurtful actions had to be taken, and for better or worse, the Hokage had just placed him into a situation where it would fall to him if such decisions had to be made. I understand, Hokage-sama, Naruto replied as he vanished in a blaze of crimson flames appearing outside of Hokage Tower. Naruto paused for only a moment before dashing towards the main gates of the village. Upon reaching his goal, the blonde took a few moments to read over the entirety of his mission parameters and any subsequent information. After all, having information about a mission regardless of how limited is often far better than having no information at all. It looks as though GG wasn't over-exaggerating the situation. If this information is correct and Zabuza is involved, then Team 8 won't stand a chance in hell of making it out of there alive. Naruto mentally rambled as he considered his options while desperately trying to pushing down his growing concern for the girl who was slowly entrenching herself in his heart. Given the situation, I suppose I really don't have much of a choice. If I want to reach them before they reach Wave, I'll have to take things up a bit, the blonde reasoned as he stowed the mission details and quickly left the village completely unaware of the hate-filled onyx eyes that were focused on him. Leaping from tree to tree, Naruto waited until he was several miles from the village's boundaries before dropping to the ground. He had been traveling towards the land of waves for close to an hour, yet without any clear indication of exactly which route his fellow shinobi had traveled. Finding them could potentially become the most daunting aspect of his mission. However, like any well-rounded shinobi, Naruto was prepared for such an eventuality. "Hunter, attend me," Naruto said as his chakra flared and his eyes glowed with demonic power. Moments before, a pillar of ebony flames sprung from the ground before him and a four-tailed ash-gray female vulpine crossed into the human world. "My lord, my name is Minori. How may I be of service?" spoke the summon begin as she bowed to the one that had called her several hours ago. "A team of Leaf Shinobi along with a civilian passed through this area. I need to know if you can track them," Naruto replied. "I will need something that one of them has had in their possession." Minori returned completely ready to aid the vulpine heir. Opening his pack, Naruto removed a simply folded handkerchief that was elegantly decorated in some sort of lavender flowers. "Will this do, Minori-chan?" the blonde asked as he offered the delicate item to the huntress. "Yes, my lord, it clearly carries the scent of one who has recently been in the area. However, the scent is fading. We must hurry so that it is not lost completely." "Then, with all due speed, lead the way, Minori-chan," Naruto said as the summons skillfully began to track the members of Team 8. Nearly a day had passed since Team 8 had been ambushed by the Demon Brothers, and Kurenai had advised Konoha of their situation. She had hoped to have received word that backup had been dispatched, instructions as to how to proceed, or at the very least confirmation that the mission status had been received. But even as they grew closer to Wave, no word had come, and the ruby-eyed Jonin was growing more and more concerned about the situation. She and her team were blindly walking into Tazuna-san. "Can you tell us what led up to the current situation in the land of Wade?" Shino asked as he walked beside the uncommonly sober bridge builder. Seemingly taking a moment to gather his thoughts, the old man frowned and said, "Wave was once a beautiful country sustained by the endless bounty of the seas and the fertile lands that are intertwined with countries' many rivers and streams. Never a country where industry flourished. Our economy was and is firmly based in aquaculture and commercial fishing. Our only problem was the lack of an efficient method of transporting our products to areas that required more than a few hours' travel. Of course, the obvious solution to this would have been to invest in the creation of a network of ships and trade routes that could transport our goods to the surrounding lands that were normally out of reach. However, because Wave's economy has always been based in aquaculture and commercial fishing, it has remained relatively poor in terms of monetary wealth, and for a time it seemed as though that was the way things were going to remain, at least until the day Gado Shipping set up operations. At first we all thought that the opening of a major shipping company would be a godsend to the country. After all, it would provide the country with exactly what it needed the most, but that hope was all too soon dashed. When the company first opened, everything was fine. The rates for shipping products were reasonable, with the company only taking about 5% of the sale of the goods shipped for the cost of transport. But then slowly over time the rates began to rise. No one thought anything of it in the beginning as the rates were still considerably low. It wasn't until about 3 years later that the rates for transport reached the point where if we paid them, the farmer or fisherman would be operating at a loss. We tried to negotiate with Gado, but his response was that because his company was the only means the land had to transport our goods, we had to pay his prices, or find some other means of transport too, which we did. Just that, envoys were sent out to try and attract other smaller shipping companies to set up operations, some of which seemed genuinely interested until they found out that Gado was there and promptly cut off negotiations. This went on for another year, when it was decided that if we couldn't ship fairly by sea, then we would do so by land too, which 6 months later construction of a bridge that would connect Wave to the mainland was begun. However, by then Gado had grown rather enjoy of Wave under his heel and was determined to prevent to the completion of the bridge. Some of the people that he had hired to maintain his ships learned that he had hired a team of Rouge ninjas to not only destroy the bridge but kill myself and anyone else that was working to break his hold on the county. And knowing that we didn't stand a chance on our own, we gathered what funds we could, and I was sent to contract Kanahagakure for a team to protect us until the bridge could be finished. The rest you know. It seems that this Gado is little more than a schoolyard bully with a sizable bank account to assist him in his endeavors, spoke the bug user after hearing the history of Gado's involvement in Wave. But if he already has that much money and power, it doesn't really make sense that he would go through all this just to stop a single bridge from being built. Kiba said, much to the dismay of his companions. It is because he has wealth and power that he is doing this, Kiba-san. They have corrupted him to the point that even the perceived belief he will lose any amount of it, regardless of if that belief is real or imagined, forces him to act in the extreme to hold Onto what he has. It is just as the old saying says, power corrupts while absolute power corrupts absolutely, Hinata said while trying to avoid the lustful eyes of her Inuzuka teammate. Regardless of the reason why Gato has taken the actions that he has, it does not change the fact that our mission is to protect Tazuna-san until either the mission is over or we receive orders to the contrary. Kurenai reminded her team as she moved to block the view of the dog user, even as she gave the boy a look that said back off or there would be consequences. Since the formation of their team, Kiba had only slightly backed away from his pursuit of Hinata despite the efforts of both Shino and Kurenai to convince him otherwise. He simply refused to accept that the Hyuga heir did not return his misplaced feelings in his mind. Kiba saw Hinata's reluctance as some sort of challenge to intensify his pursuit of her, not that he had ever overtly acted upon his thinly veiled desires. Rather, he made his actions more subtle, choosing to feed his appetites with prolonged lustful stares and inappropriate gropes that could be brushed aside as mishaps of training actions that would earn him little more than warnings from his sensei or perhaps some other authority figure should his attempts at claiming Hinata draw their attention. After traveling for nearly 4 hours without rest, Naruto and Minori had arrived at the scene of teammates' ambush. The scene had been much as Naruto had expected it to be, with the signs of recent battle and the stench of incinerated flesh still lingering in the air from the destroyed surrounding. It was obvious that the rookie team had been caught completely unaware and only survived by some sort of miracle. My lord, the scent is very strong here. It seems that the one I have been tracking has more than likely been injured, although to what extent I cannot say. Minori plainly stated they hurt her, Naruto softly said just as his chakra suddenly flared, causing Minori to whimper. At the sheer weight of the pressure being released, the violent release was over as quickly as it had begun, with Naruto quickly reining in his wayward emotion. Please forgive me, Minori-chan, but lately I have found myself becoming rather protective of Hinata-chan, and when you remarked that she might have been injured, my anger got the better of me, the blonde explained. There's no need to explain or to be ashamed, Naruto-sama. It is quite common for a Regnard to be protective of his mate. You are not the first, or will you be last of our kind to lash out in anger at the thought that harm has come to his beloved. And if Hinata-chan was my mate, I could understand my reaction, but she and I are simply friends, nothing more, Naruto enthusiastically replied as the female Vulpine merely smirked at the blonde's resistance to what she had said. As you say, my lord, however, if I may, I would advise you to ask yourself if what you feel for your Hinata-chan is more than you are ready to admit, but in any case we should continue on if we wish to reach them before the end of the day, finished the huntress as she dashed off along the path, leaving Naruto to mumble something about know-it-all Vixen Kitsun and staying out of his love life. Daylight was slowly fading into night when Kurenai called for the team to stop and set up camp. They would reach the small port where Tazuna's friend waited to transport them into waves sometime before midday tomorrow, provided they didn't run into any unforeseen circumstances. Until then they would wait and get what rest they could. Alright Kiba, I want you to see if you can catch us a few fish while Shino, you and Hinata gather firewood for the night. I will stay here with Tazuna-san and set up the tents. Everyone is to be back here in 30 minutes. The ruby-eyed Jonin ordered. What the fuck, sensei? Why does Shino always get paired with Hinata? Kabandrily questioned as his eyes lustfully looked onto Hinata's, even as the girl desperately tried to shield herself from his view. There are several reasons if you truly wish to know, Kiba. Chief among them is because as leader of this team, my word is law. Being an Inuzuka, you should be well acquainted with pack mentality. Not to any lessening degree is the fact that Hinata has made it clear that she does want to be around you outside of those times we are together as a team. However, if those are not enough reasons for you, then here is another, and on this let me be clear. As my student, I will train you, I will defend you, and if needs be, I will lay down my life for you. But Kiba, I will never trust you. You are like to many other men that I have known in my life. You think that because you are a man that your way, your wants and desires should come before those of others. You have gotten it into your mind that Hinata is some sort of prize to be won, or worse yet, something to be claimed. I have watched you closely since the day we first met at the academy, and I know all your tricks, so understand me when I say that as long as it is within my power to do so, I will never allow you in a position where you would be alone with her. If that's not clear enough for you, then I would be happy to revisit this topic with Lady Tsum and Lord Hokage once this mission is concluded and we return to the village. Kurenai calmly explained while glaring dangerously at the Inuzuka heir. I understand you perfectly, sensei, and I'll obey your orders while on missions, but in the end it won't make a fucking difference, because one way or another, Sensei Kiba-san, as much as I agree that this discussion has been a long time coming, we have a more pressing concern at the moment. Shino interrupted as his colony of insects emerged from his sleeves. What's wrong, Shino? Kurenai quickly replied as she signaled Hinata to protect Tazuna, and she drew a kunai and readied herself. It seems that we are surrounded. Slowly returned the bug user to the dismay of Team 8. Turning her senses towards the surrounding area, Kurenai could feel the killing intent that seemed to be coming from all around them. How could this many have gotten this close without any of us noticing? The Jonin asked herself as she quickly tried to determine the enemy numbers. Alright, whoever you are, come out, we know you're there. Kurenai called out from out of the shadows. The solitary figure stepped into the open and made his way towards the Konoha team with purpose. Naruto-kun, Hinata softly whispered from her place at the bridge builder's side. You're all dead. You allowed your personal issues get in the way of the mission, and now you're dead. You dropped your guard in hostile territory and the enemy was able to surround you, and now you're dead. By your own admission, you saw a potential problem with one of your subordinates before the mission started and failed to do anything about it, so now you're dead. You, your team, and the client are all dead. How do you answer for yourself, Kurenai? He questioned the blonde shinobi as he fixed his icy glare on teammate Sensei. Who the fuck do you think you are, Naruto? We don't answer to you. What fucking business is it of yours how we operate? During Kiba began before he was slammed to the ground and silenced by Minori's razor-sharp claws at his throat. I don't believe my lord was addressing you. Might I suggest for the future you learn to remain silent and not interrupt the conversations of others, coldly spoke the huntress. Naruto had paid no attention to either Kiba's small rant or the actions taken by Minori, as his only real interest were in how the senior Jonin would account for her team's current predicament. I'm waiting for an answer, Yui-san. Pulling herself together, Kurenai quickly took in the situation before attempting to reassert her authority. I can only assume that from your presence here, Genin, that Konoha received my report and that you are part of Team Lord Hokage has sent to assist us on our mission. Whereas I cannot disagree with your assessment of recent events, I will not stand by and allow my methods, good or bad, be criticized by someone fresh from the academy. Now with that said, who is your squad leader and where's the rest of your team? Kurenai rebuked as she leveled her own imposing glare upon the blonde. Thank you for your assistance, Minori-chan. I can handle the rest from here, Naruto said as he gave a slight signal, and the ash-gray vulpine slowly moved away from her pent prey. By your will, Naruto-sama. Should you require my assistance in the future, please do not hesitate to call. Minori replied as she slightly bowed before vanishing in a pillar of ebony flame. Reaching into his, Naruto retrieved the mission details and orders he had received from Sarutobi before leaving the village and tossed them to woman before him. These are copies of my mission details as well as Hokage-sama's orders for both you and myself. Please pay close attention to my orders concerning you and your team, Naruto said as he turned his attention towards Kiba. As for you, I warned you before and you chose to ignore me, so allow me to make this abundantly clear. Hinata-chan has said she want nothing to do with you, therefore you will abide by her wishes. If however you choose to ignore them, then I promise you that it will be a very long time before you go on another mission, if you are able to go on one at all, Naruto said as he looked down on the Inuzuka heir before turning towards Shino and bowed. Shino-san, I thank you for watching over Hinata-chan in my absence. I am your debt. I do not feel that you owe me anything, Naruto-san. Hinata-san is my teammate and I will do what I can to protect her regardless of where the threat may come, Shino replied calmly, having recovered his hive. Regardless, the debt remains, returned the blonde before once more turning his attention towards the leader of Team 8. Do you have an answer for me? Yui-san clutching the scroll she had been given. Kurenai couldn't understand why the Hokage would issue such orders, however at the same time she knew it was not her place to question the orders of the Hokage. If he trusted Naruto to this extent, then that was good enough for her. I have no excuse, Naruto-senpai, and will abide by your decision, Kurenai said, shocking her team with the manner and how she addressed the blonde. In that case we will proceed at your discretion, Lady Kurenai. However, be aware that should the need arise I will take the appropriate action, returned Naruto. Even as the rest of those present struggled with understanding exactly what was going on. I understand, replied the ruby-eyed woman. Alright, listen up team, as of now and until the completion of this mission, Naruto has been given the rank of provisional jonin. This mean that you will follow his orders as you would mine or any other jonin. Is that understood? For a moment each of the genin looked as though they had lost the ability to reason before a subtle cough from their sensei regained their attention. I asked if you understood. Yes, sensei, the trio quickly replied before looking to Naruto and wondering exactly how any of this ever came to be. I'm sure that you all have questions and I promise that I will address them as best I can, but for now you are to complete the task that Kurenai-san has assigned you. Naruto ordered the group of genin. And what will you be doing while we're all working? A defiant Kiba questioned his apparent superior. It is not any of your concern. What if anything I will be doing, Inuzuka, the blonde replied, turning his icy stare upon the clan heir, causing the boy to involuntarily flinch. As an Inuzuka, Kiba was well aware that for any pack to survive that there must be order among its members, or more simply put, the strongest would lead and any others would follow. In terms of Team 8, their pack order had been established quickly and without contention. Kurenai was the unquestioned leader with Kiba as the strongest was second. However, Naruto's arrival had caused the old order to be pushed aside in favor of one where the blonde assumed a prominent leadership Role whether that meant that he was above Kurenai was still not clear, nor did it matter whatever Naruto's role was. As far as Kurenai was concerned, the newcomer was at the very least equal to herself. Seeing that their leader was content to share her position, Kiba had little choice but to acknowledge the authority that Naruto now held in the pack. More importantly, he recognized that to challenge that authority would mean that he would need to defeat his rival in open combat, something that Kiba was well aware he could not do at his current level. Yes, Naruto-sensei, Kiba begrudgingly replied. Good then, if there are no more objections, you all have your assignments. Be back here in 30, said the blonde, sending the trio to accomplish their given task. Now Kurenai-san, before they return, is there anything that I don't know that I need to know about the current situation? No, senpai. The only other significant events that have occurred since our encounter with the demon brothers were those that you witnessed tonight. Kurenai quickly answered to Naruto's apparent pleasure of not having more to worry about. Excuse me, I know that I'm just the client and shouldn't worry about the things you ninja do, but if you would be so kind and explain what's going on. Tazuna asked the Jonin, earning a nerve-chilling glare for his trouble. Of course, client-san, what has been going on? Is that because you lied about the nature of the mission you were contracting? An inexperienced team of genin were dispatched on a mission that should have been handled by either Chunin or Jonin, a fact which became all too clear when yourself and Team 8 were attacked by B-class Ru Shinobi. Wisely, this incident prompted Kurenai-san to inform Lord Hokage, who then decided to send help in the form of myself. The extent of my orders and how they pertain to this mission you do not need to know. However, what you should understand is that if I deem this mission to be too dangerous for Team 8 to continue, then I can and will nullify the Leaf's contract with you and immediately order our return to the village. If this give you cause for concern, then it should, and I would recommend that for the future you remember that we do not take being lied to very well. Misinformation about a mission can and has caused far too many good people to needlessly lose their lives. Still, rest assured, we have not yet reached that point. Konohagakure understands that Wave is economically impoverished and that you did not have the funds to pay for a higher ranked mission. However, at the same time, this situation might have been avoided if you had simply told us the truth from the beginning, as there was the chance that we would have still accepted the mission, explained the provisional Jonin. Perhaps, but I could not take that risk. If I had asked for your help and the Hokage refused, then I would now be dead, and my people's last chance to escape from Gado's clutches lost forever. My life is not important, but I refuse to risk the lives of my people on the chance that the Leaf might have felt generous towards our cause. The old man bitterly returned. Client-san, you do not know anything of the Leaf or its people. You see us only as tools of war, instruments to be used to fight your battles when you do not wish to stain your hands with blood. So before you condemn us for our mercenary work, take a moment and note that we have not abandoned you. Lord Hokage could have simply ordered me to recall Team 8, but instead left the choice to continue or not with me. Had you gone to another village for help, can you say that they would have been so understanding as the Leaf has been? Naruto finished shaming the bridge builder into silence just as the genin of Team 8 returned to the campsite. Kurenai-san, I will leave the rest in your hands. I feel it prudent that I scout the area before the enemy no longer has a reason to attack, said the blonde before vanishing in swirl of crimson flames. Sensei, is everything alright? Hinata asked, concerned for what they had just heard. It's nothing to be worried about, just a difference in opinion, Kurenai replied, hoping to quash the curiosity of her team. The years of torment by the citizens of Konohagakure had given Naruto an extremely high degree of patience for dealing with closed-minded fools. However, from time to time he still managed to find one or two people that had a knack for pushing him beyond his limits. Unfortunately, Tazuna was proving to be just such an individual. Honestly, he has the nerve to question how we are conducting ourselves after deliberately withholding information about the situation. The blonde huffed as he concealed himself a short distance from the camp. But I suppose I can't entirely fault him. He is after all trying to help his people. Still, you would think that considering what he's put us through so far, that he would choose his words more tactfully. Naruto continued to mentally ramble before calming himself enough to enter his mindscape. Welcome, Naruto-sama, the twins spoke as they bowed before their master. How may we be of service? Saito humbly asked as the blonde seated himself before the pair. I wish to learn more about you. Since we are to be partners, I think that it would be wise if we knew as much about one another as possible, Naruto replied as the pair knelt down beside him. Of course, my lord. As you may or may not know, a Vulpine's blade is born of his wielder's soul. Because of this, we blades are born with innate knowledge of our masters. Unfortunately, the reverse is not true, as it is often the case that a wielder does not truly know themselves before gaining use of their blade. Because of this, the servant is forced to teach the master about himself in order for the pair to function perfectly in tandem. But of course, this aspect of their relationship is completely relative, as some wielders are more comfortable with themselves than others. I suppose that makes sense, but if you came from me, then how is it that your abilities are so much different than my own? What I mean is that your skills seem on par with my own, while at the same time you appear to have abilities that are completely different from mine. For instance, Anri can use ice jutsu on a level that suggests a bloodline, while I have never been able to use any sort of ice-based attack. Naruto surmised that is because, like all living things, when we are born we inherit traits from our creator that our creator may not readily possess. You know that you are descendant from the Uzumaki Senju and Namikaze clans, members of which held high affinities for water, earth, and wind. Although you yourself did not inherit an affinity for water or earth, the traits still exist within you. Saito and myself simply inherited traits from your family lines that you did not. Anri explained. So when you said that a blade is born from their wielder, you mean it literally? Naruto asked. Yes, my lord, in real sense. A Vulpine's blade is very much a child of its wielder. I knew that the connection between us had to be something complex, but I never expected it to be this deep. However, despite how interesting I find all of this right now, there are more pressing issues facing us, Naruto said, knowing that he need to push forward into more piratical matters for the time being. Understood, my lord. As we are a part of you, we are aware of the current situation. Ask of us what you will. Saito replied. Good, then I won't need to go into too much detail and can get right to the point. Going forward with this mission, it is possible that we might be going up against an 8-class shinobi. Before that happens, I want to as prepared as I can be. That means that if I need to summon you in your human forms, I want us to be able to work as an efficient team. Always a wise precaution, Naruto-sama. However, our abilities are linked directly to your own. As your skills and power advance, so does our own. As for teamwork, our actions are guided by your will, and we shall act in the best way to accomplish your goals. Anri explained. Then that should be more than enough, but I'm not concerned with your combat abilities. I already know that you can fight. What I want to know is that you understand that as far as I am concerned, there is only one way to fight, Naruto said as he stood to look down expectantly upon the twins. The Vulpine way, the twins quickly replied, causing the blonde to give them a foxy grin. Before he returned to waking world, Kurenai had carefully watched her team for the whole of the evening, and to their credit, they had for the most part not allowed recent events to impede their duties. Still, she knew that her team had to be curious, not only about Konohagakure's orders, but the boy that had delivered them. Not that they didn't have that right. Hell, if she was being honest, she was just as curious about the blonde provisional Jonin. Of course, she had information her team did not, having heard the rumors and read the unclassified reports, along with receiving the mandatory briefing about the boy. When she had become a Jonin, she knew as much about him as any other high-level shinobi of the Leaf did. Not that that distinction meant a damn thing when you considered that it was the same information that every adult in the village already knew. Still, it was a step above what her team knew and might be enough to field any questions they might have about the boy away from the more restricted aspects of his life. You have all done well today, and I want you to know that no matter what happens in the future, that I am proud of you. Now, considering recent events, I understand that you must have questions, and until Naruto-senpai returns, there isn't much that I can tell you, but I will do the best that I can. Kurenai begins setting the remains of meal to side. That has to be the biggest fucking understatement of the year, Sensei. Kiba growled, knowing that of all her charges, Kiba was the most disturbed by the situation. Kurenai allowed the Inuzuka's callous remarks to pass without comment. Sensei, I can only imagine that Naruto-san has done something in service to the village that has warranted his quick rise in rank. However, despite this, I cannot imagine a circumstance by which any promotion would place him in a position over a senior officer of the same rank such as yourself. Do you know how this is possible? Shino asked, giving voice to his confusion. As you know, there are 3 basic ranks of shinobi: Genin, Chunin, and Jonin, while Special Jonin, Provisional Jonin, Special Chunin, and Provisional Chunin are subsets to the basic ranks, which are sometimes given to a person who may be under consideration for promotion or who has the skills to warrant the rank but for some reason is ineligible for promotion through normal means. Kurenai began. So a Provisional or Special Jonin or Chunin outranks a regular one? Hinata asked. No, regardless, the subset a Jonin is a Jonin and a Chunin is a Chunin. The titles are used only as a means to identify those who were promoted by the normal means such as the Chunin and Jonin exams, or through a field commission, or by being directly promoted by the Hokage, the elder woman clarified. So if you wanted to, you could promote us all to Chunin? Kiba questioned as he groomed Akamaru. Technically I could, but in the absence of at least 2 qualified officers to verify the actions that warranted the promotion, it would undoubtedly be declared invalid by either the council or the Hokage, who would in any event have to approve any such promotion. But back to Shino's question, under normal circumstances, if 2 Jonin are assigned to the same mission, unless one of them has been specifically placed in command by the Hokage, then the one with seniority assumes the leadership role, which is in part why Naruto-senpai's authority supersedes my own. Kurenai replied, hoping to answer the bug user question to his satisfaction. I see, then that would explain why you submitted to Naruto-san's authority, Lord Hokage's orders places Naruto-san over yourself in order of command. Shino reasoned as he adjusted his sunglasses, but that still doesn't make sense. Even if the bastard earned a promotion, he still couldn't have the same experience as Kurenai-sensei, so why would the Hokage put him in charge? Kiba question that I cannot fully answer. I can only say that the orders I received gave Senpai authority over this mission, and without any orders to the contrary, I will obey by those of the Hokage. Kurenai returned to the displeasure of her student. Fine then, but what if the orders are wrong, or what if he forged them for some reason? Why should we follow someone that we know to be the worst ninja to come out of our entire class when we already have a capable sensei to lead us? Because our orders are to follow Naruto-kun. I trust Kurenai-sensei with my life, but if our orders say to follow Naruto-kun's orders, then that's what we should do. Hinata argued, earning a smile from the woman at her side. I agree with Kurenai-sensei and Hinata-san. If Hokage-sama placed Naruto-sensei in command, then he must have had a reason, and in the face of legitimate orders it is not our place to question that decision. Shino added, earning nods from the others. That's my point. How do we know that those are real orders? Are you guys really willingly going to follow that son of bitch into Kami knows what? Kiba, we understand what you're saying, but I checked the orders myself, and I can promise you that they are real. I think that your feelings about this are more personal than anything else. You need to accept the situation for what it is and stop looking at Naruto as though he's the enemy. Shino is right. Whatever Lord Hokage's reasons, he has given Senpai command of this mission, making him your superior. If you continue to question his authority in this manner, it could be construed as being tantamount to treason. A cold as steel voice whispered into Kiba's ear, causing the genin to quickly turn before falling back onto the ground. Sensei, how long have you been there? Kiba trembled as he cautiously asked the blonde standing over him. I never truly left. In fact, you should get used to the ideal that for as long as we are on this mission I will never be far from any of you. Naruto answered with his eyes locked solidly on Kiba's, but that's something we can discuss a bit later, don't you think? Right now I think it would be best if we clear the air about a few things. Kurenai-san has already explained to you how it is that I have authority over her during this mission. While true, her explanation is not quite accurate. Lord Hokage did give me the power to take command, however I have yet to exercise it as of now. Kurenai-san is still in charge. My role for the moment is to simply observe and lend support as I see fit. That does not mean, however, that I can't or won't take command if necessary. Secondly, I believe you wanted to know how it is that I have been promoted so quickly. The simple answer is that I have completed 7 C-ranked and 1 B-ranked mission over the past 2 months to earn the rank of Provisional Chunin. My rank of Provisional Jonin is temporary and will expire with the completion of this mission and our return to the village. Beyond that, if there's anything that any of you want to know about me, my skills, or my personal life, I have no problem with you coming and asking. In some instances, I might even choose to give you an answer, however those answers will come completely at my discretion. Now, with that said, I think it would be prudent that we all get some rest. You may all have the entire night to sleep as I have scouted the area, and in a moment we'll have surveillance teams in place. And before you ask, just think of it as a perk for having me on your team, said the blonde before he began to move away from Kiba. Oh, one last thing before I forget, Kiba, consider yourself on report. Questioning the orders of a superior officer during a mission can get not only yourself but your entire team killed. Naruto finished as 100 copies of himself appeared in crimson flames before dashing off in every direction, leaving the original to begin his evening meal. It was mid-morning before the group reached the port where Tazuna allies waited to transport them into the land of waves. Tazuna-san, I was beginning to give up hope. I expected you to arrive last night, said a middle-aged man wearing a well-worn pair of pants and happy coat. It could not be helped, Yasuo-san. We were attacked by a pair of Gado's hired thugs along the way, replied the bridge builder as he firmly grasped the hand Yasuo had offered. This is bad. If he didn't know before, then the chances are that Gado knows you have returned. It's all right, my friend, these people are here to help us. With them at our side, there is still hope that Wave can be freed from under Gado's hold. Tazuna tried to reassure his friend. I hope that is the case, old man, but I can't take the risk that it isn't. I will take you across the river, but after that you will be on your own. As much as I want to see Gado overthrown, I can't risk my family should you fail. I'm sorry, I understand, Yasuo, and do not hold it against you. I only ask that if the worst should come to pass, that you will try to look out for my daughter and grandson should they survive. The old man humbly asked. I swear I will do my best to honor your request. Tazuna-sama. Yasuo returned before the small group boarded his waiting boat and pushed off towards the opposite shore. Yasuo had informed the group that the crossing would take nearly 2 hours. Although it was possible to move faster, the ferryman insisted that they move slowly so as not to draw any unwanted attention to themselves. Understanding his concern, the Konoha team agreed and did their best to appear to be nothing more the ordinary travelers. Naruto-kun, I know that this may not be the right time, but before we left the village my father asked Me to invite you to the Hyuga compound for dinner. He wishes to meet you. Hinata softly spoke so that only the boy next to her would hear. He wants to meet me, returned the vulpine air and whispered surprise. I mean, I have nothing against meeting your family, Hinata-chan, it's just that I never imagined that any of them would want to meet me. Well, our outings together have begun to draw the notice of some both within and outside the clan, which according to my father has resulted in rumors and questions about the nature of our relationship. Father has therefore decided that it would be best to meet the person that has earned my attention, the pale-eyed girl said as she looked away from the blonde's scrutinizing gaze. Is that really the only reason he wants to meet me, Hinata-chan? Naruto softly questioned. Hinata knew that she had no talent for lying, and even though what she had said was not a complete falsehood, she could tell that Naruto did not entirely believe her. No, it isn't. The truth is that when I was asked by my father about the nature of our relationship and I told him that we were simply friends, his response was rather hurtful. He stated that he did not care anything about how or with whom I spent my free time, provided that it did not cause any embarrassment to the clan. He said that the reason he wanted to meet you was so that if we were involved in some sort of romantic relationship, that he did not want to learn of it secondhand, at least not before he had the chance to create the appearance of having met you and given his consent to our courtship. Beyond that, he said that he could not imagine why you would want to be seen with me or what I might have done to earn your attention, but that he hoped to find out once the two of you met. Hinata whispered so softly that even with his enhanced hearing Naruto found it difficult to understand her at times. For a few moments the blonde said nothing, choosing instead to turn his attention towards a random point on the quickly approaching Sure, I would happy to have dinner with you and your family, Hinata-chan. When we return to the village, please inform Lord Hyuga that I will attend him at his earliest convenience. Of course, Naruto-kun, replied the pale-eyed girl, unsure of whether to be happy or frightened by the prospect that the two dominant male figures in her life would soon be meeting face to face. From here you're on your own. I've done all I can, Yasuo regrettably said as he pushed off from the docket. More than enough, Yasuo-san, go home to your family and keep them safe, Tazuna replied as he and Team 8 begin the final part of their journey towards the old man's village. Kurenai-san, I'm leaving you to watch over the client while I scout ahead. Naruto softly spoke to the Genjutsu mistress so not to alert the others. Hi senpai, Kurenai replied, only to have her words spoken to the wind. Tazuna-san, how far are we from your home? Not very far. If we hurry we could make it there in about an hour, said the old man as he started down an old dirt road. Everyone stay alert, just because we're close to the village doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Hinata, I want you on Tazuna-san's left, Shino is right, Kiba will take the point and I'll cover our rear. We'll keep Tazuna-san between us for his safety, Kurenai said, ordering her team. Pardon me sensei, but Naruto-sensei isn't here. Wouldn't it be prudent to wait for him before we move ahead? Shino asked, while deploying a portion of his colony to scout for potential enemies. Senpai has entrusted us with Tazuna-san's safety while he scouts the area. When he's ready he will rejoin us, the ruby-eyed woman explained, feeling that the blonde in question was closer than any of them suspected. Team 8 and their charge had been walking for nearly an hour when rustling from a nearby overgrowth alerted Kiba that they might not be alone. Choosing to attack rather than investigate, Kiba quickly turned towards the location he believed the intruder to be lurking and threw a pair of kunai at the unknown target. Kiba, what the hell are you doing? Kurenai yelled as the tattooed teen checked if he had hit anything. I thought I heard someone following us, so I attacked. And what did the mighty protector save us from? Tazuna mockingly said, feeling sure that no one would attack them so close to his home. It's just a rabbit, Kiba replied with a moan of disappointment as he examined the frightened and unharmed creature. Oh well, it might not be an enemy, but it'll make a perfectly good dinner, he continued with a laugh before Hinata dragged Tazuna to the ground and cried out for everyone to get down. For Tazuna it was as though time slowed to a crawl. One minuet he was laughing at the antics of children, and the next he was being pulled to the ground as a giant blade relieved him of an inch of excess hair on its way to burying itself into a nearby tree. What was that? asked the shaken bridge builder just as a boisterous laugh and the sound of clapping filled the air. I was sure that little move would kill at least one of you, but it seems that you lot are a bit better than I had given you credit for. A deep voice rumbled as a bandaged man appeared and took hold of the embedded blade. Getting to her feet, Kurenai quickly drew a kunai and readied herself face off with the unknown man. Who are you and what do you want with us? The ruby-eyed jonin demanded from the brats. I want nothing from you, perhaps a night of uninterrupted pleasure, and from the old man nothing less than his life. As for who I am, I have been called by many names, bastard, sadist, rapist, murderer, but you may simply call me Zabuza, laughed the figure as he pulled free the massive blade and slightly bowed. Demon of the hidden mist, Kurenai slowly spoke as she signaled her team to protect Tazuna. Ah, so you've heard of me. I'm flattered, but I'm afraid that flattery won't get you anywhere. Then again, I'm feeling generous today, so what do you say we skip all the unnecessary bloodshed and you just hand over the Bridge builder Zabuza said sweetly, causing Kurenai to shudder in disgust. I'm afraid that we can't do that, Zabuza-san. Despite your generous offer, we have been contracted to ensure the bridge builder's safety and cannot simply abandon our duty, replied the genjutsu mistress as she slipped into a defensive stance. Oh well, I had hoped that I could convince you otherwise, but if you insist in standing in my way, washing off the blood of 5 is just as easy as 1, the demon of mist retorted as he quickly ran through a series of hand signs and said, Hidden mist jutsu. With the completion of the jutsu, the area was quickly filled with a thick mist that shrouded everything from view. Sensei, the mist is laced with chakra. I can't see through it, Hinata called out while deactivating her bloodline in order to preserve chakra. I understand all of you to stay close to Tazuna-san and don't let your guard down. Zabuza is a master of the silent kill, so the girl is a Hyuga. This day just keeps getting better. Once I've dealt with the rest of you, I'll sell the girl to the rakeage and earn myself a tidy little bonus, cackled the bandaged man as vision of large sums of ryo filled his head. As long as I draw breath, you will never lay a single finger on her or any of my students. An enraged Kurenai yelled into the mist. Exactly my point, Zabuza returned as his massive blade tore into the woman's side, releasing a deluge of flesh and blood in its wake. Kurenai-sensei, Hinata screamed in horror at an instant before the woman's body burst into a smoke. What the fuck, I know I killed that bitch, Zabuza cursed, drawing his blade close to his body in order to counter the attack he was sure to come. I never would have thought that the great demon of the mist would turn out to be a coward. I mean, seriously, attacking a group of genin and an old man with a hidden mist jutsu. Are you truly so weak that you couldn't face them head on? A calm voice mocked the former mist shinobi, causing Hinata and the others to breathe a sigh of relief that did not go unnoticed by the bandaged man. Don't tell me that there are more of you fucks, questioned the former mist shinobi as he searched for the newcomer. Wind-style windstorm of Adaqua, yelled out the voice as a power gale sudden rose up to clear away the mist, silently cursing the destruction of his jutsu. Zabuza found himself to be standing across from what looked to be child with blonde hair and icy cold blue eyes. So Gaki, I take it that you want to play at being ninja, Zabuza mocked as he hefted his huge blade onto his shoulder. When hunting prey, there are many things to consider. Chief among these is how eliminate your target as quickly and efficiently as possible. In terms of humans, there are 7 points to choose from: brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, pancreas, and spleen. Knowing that the hunter is left with only one question: where to begin, the blonde callously said as twin Wakazashi appeared in his hands. Kiba, behind you, Hinata cried out as Zabuza appeared behind the Inuzuka air with his blade raised high. Turning swiftly, Kiba froze in fear as his eyes locked onto the man whose sole intent at the moment was to end his lifetime. To die, boys, screamed the masked man, even as both Hinata and Shino moved to try and save their teammate, only to watch as Zabuza suddenly burst into a puddle of water. I told you to stay alert another second, and you'd be nothing but a memory, Kurenai sternly spoke as she came into view, and Kiba dropped to the ground in shock at what had just happened. Sensei, we feared that you had fallen, Shino said with as much enthusiasm as the restrained boy could express. If not for Senpai and his clone, I might have been. However, this is not the time for explanations. Stay alert. Where there is one water clone, there might be more, explained the ruby-eyed Jonin as she scanned the area before looking in the direction of Naruto and Zabuza's battle. I'll grant you that you're far better than I would have imagined, Zabuza said while leaping away from a strike aimed for his stomach and beginning a series of hand signs. I'll be sure to pass the compliment on to my master, Naruto replied, wasting no time and advancing on his target. Too bad you're never going to get that chance. Water style water dragon jutsu, yelled the former mist shinobi as a giant dragon made of water rose up from the nearby lake and directed its fury at the rapidly approaching blonde. Zabuza could only wonder if the boy was extremely overconfident, suicidal, or just plain stupid to be rushing headfirst towards the dragon, but considering how he had underestimated the kid's skill with a blade, he wasn't about to take any more chances. Water style water bullet, yelled the Rouge as he drew in a deep breath before spitting out a duo of watery bullets that rocketed past the dragon directly in Naruto's path. Seeing the incoming projectiles, Naruto smirked before pushing chakra into both his legs and blades, while at the same time forcing his body to corkscrew like some kind of living drill. For Zabuza, it was like watching some insane acrobat at a carnival sideshow, and for a moment he considered that the boy was indeed suicidal. That was until Naruto's spinning form collided with and shattered the water bullets before landing and releasing the stored chakra from his blades in the form of twin crescent waves that sliced through the watery beast, destroying the dragon. Fuck me, Tazuna groaned unknowingly, echoing the sentiments of everyone who had watched the exchange. Hidden somewhere on the farthest edge of the battlefield, a masked figure no more than 17 watched the battle before him unfold and begin to worry. I know that you would rather I not interfere, Zabuza-sama, but I fear that this boy might be more than you had counted on, reasoned the masked figure as he leapt from his perch and dashed Towards the field of battle dashing forward, Naruto again attempted to close the distance between himself and Zabuza, only for the bandaged fighter to slow his advance by throwing several explosive kunai in his path. Seeing the rapidly approaching mini-bombs, Naruto crouched and plunged Saito into the ground, causing a temporary protective dome of earth to engulf him and allow the kunai to detonate harmlessly just as Zabuza completed another jutsu water-style. "Water bullets," yelled the older shinobi as he once more fired off a duo of shots, hoping to strike the blonde as soon as his guard was down, only for both bullets to crash harmlessly into a now vacant field. "Where the fuck is he?" Zabuza roared, looking around for his target. "Now that would be telling, wouldn't it?" Naruto replied as burst from the ground and released a wave of chakra that would have sliced Zabuza in twain if he had not quickly substituted himself with a convenient log. Using the now bisected log as a springboard, Zabuza sought to end the fight by lunging towards Naruto and plunging his executioner's blade through the blonde. However, as his blade tore through the teen, the blonde powerhouse burst into smoke. "Damn it, another shadow clones," mumbled the bandaged Jonin, readying himself for Naruto's next attack. "Ice style Senbon shower," Naruto yelled out, causing an intense downpour of ice Senbon to rain down on Zabuza, who turned into a puddle of water as the icy needles tore through. "Doppelganger, you've earned my respect, boy. It's been a long time since anyone has been able to go toe-to-toe with me for this long, but you and I know that this can't go on forever, so how about we make a deal?" Zabuza began as the two paused mid-battle. "I'm listening," Naruto cautiously replied. "I'll agree to give up on trying to kill the old man, and you agree to join me." For a moment Naruto actually considered Zabuza's offer before chuckling and shaking his head in the negative. "If we had met 8 years ago when my life was at its lowest, I have no doubt that I would have readily accepted your offer. However, things have changed for me and I owe too much to those that saved me from my previous hell to abandon them," Naruto replied as his guards slightly wavered. "I'm sorry to hear that, kid. It could have been great," yelled Zabuza as he collapsed into a puddle, only to suddenly appearing behind Naruto with his massive blade ready to cleave the boy in two. "Perhaps, but sadly we shall never know," Naruto whispered while dropping to one knee and plunging Anri deep into Zabuza's unprotected abdomen. Zabuza knew without doubt that the boy had somehow landed a fatal blow, but for some unknown reason held no malice for his executioner. Rather, as he looked down on Naruto, his eyes shone nothing other than respect and understanding. This, after all, was the nature of shinobi life. "I never thought it wow LDN like this," Zabuza struggled to say as his blade slipped from his hand and a new chakra signature suddenly appeared. "Demon of the hidden mist, today you will answer for your crimes," the unknown masked man screamed as he threw several Senbon towards the neck of the dying Nin. Years of training, however, had heightened Naruto's instincts to the extreme, allowing the blonde to quickly use Saito to block the deadly needles before they could embed themselves into their intended target. Not knowing if this new arrival was friend or foe, and fearing that although critically injured Zabuza might still pose a credible threat, Naruto quickly determined that facing a single enemy was far better than facing two. "You are a worthy rival, Zabuza, you will be remembered," Naruto whispered to the still skewered man before ripping Anri free and twisting his body around in order to swiftly bring Saito down across Zabuza's exposed neck. In the end, Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist and former member of Karagekire's 7 swordsmen, felt no pain as his life on this earth came to an end. May whatever deity he prayed to grant him the peace in the afterlife that he could never find while among the living. Time slowed for the unknown shinobi as Zabuza's now headless form fell unceremoniously to the ground. "Zabuza-sama," the unknown shinobi's mind cried as he discovered a pair of shinobi at each side with razor-sharp blades perilously close to his neck. "Whoever you are, you have one chance to convince me not to add another trophy to my current collection," Naruto said without emotion. "My name is Hakuyuki. I am a hunter from the village hidden in the mist. Myself and several others were given the mission to eliminate those responsible for the attempted coup of our village by Zabuza and his compatriots," Haku said, hoping that his story was convincing enough to save his life. "If what you say is true, Hunter-san, then why did you wait so long to attack?" And then only once Zabuza had been dealt a potentially fatal blow. Kurenai questioned as she joined Naruto. "It would have been foolish of me to enter a battle between two powerful opponents. Besides, my target was Zabuza. I have no qualms against either yourself, client, or team." "It does seem logical, senpai," the Genjutsu mistress commented while never taking her eyes from the restrained Haku. "As you say, Kurenai-sensei, it does seem logical," replied the blonde as he signaled for the humanized versions of his blades to release their hold on the boy. "Because I have no reason to doubt your words, Hunter-san. I will allow you to do what you must with Zabuza's body. However, as I am the one to have delivered the final blow, I will retain both Zabuza's head and weapon in order that I might claim the bounty on him at a later date. Naruto continued as he watched Haku for any sign of deception, knowing that for the moment he was in no position to challenge the blonde. Haku humbly accepted the corpse of the fallen swordsman. I thank you for allowing me to complete my mission, but before I go, Leaf-san, for the official record, may I ask your name? Haku asked, as he paused and looked directly into Naruto's eyes while skillfully hiding his growing hatred for the blonde Uzumaki. Naruto replied, earning a slight nod from the hunter. Again, I thank you for your assistance, Uzumaki-san. Perhaps we shall meet again someday, Haku said as he vanished in a wisp of vapor. Oh, of that I have little doubt. Haku-san, is it over? A cautious Tazuna asked as he and remainder of Team 8 approached, and his eyes fell upon the massive blade that had nearly ended his already well-seasoned life only for the time beginning. Naruto replied, preparing to seal away both Zabuza's head and blade. But sensei, we saw you kill Zabuza if he was the threat to Tazuna-san's life, and that threat has now been removed. Shino began to ask before being cut off by his former classmate. I'm surprised, Shino, you of all people I would have thought would consider everything before jumping to a conclusion, but I suppose that your lack of understanding is due more to inexperience than anything else. Therefore, if you learn nothing else from me, then learn this and never forget it, because someday it may just save your life. Just because a room is empty doesn't mean there isn't someone waiting inside to kill you. What the fuck, man? If you're going to play sensei, at least make sense. Kiba growled, only to have his comment largely ignored. What senpai means, Kiba, is that Zabuza was not the only potential threat we will have to face before our mission is complete. Kurenai explained. So what, you think that Gato guy is going to try something else? Without question, more than anything, Gato wants complete control of this country. To accomplish that, he must ensure that his hold on the people is not broken, meaning that both the bridge and the bridge builder must be eliminated. Otherwise, anything else he does to maintain his control will be meaningless. Considering his motivation, I have no doubt that he will make another attempt to accomplish both in the very near future, and with Zabuza dead, he will undoubtedly turn to the one whose desires will now most coincide with his own. And who exactly would that be? Kid Tazuna asked, praying that Naruto was wrong and he would be able to finish his bridge in peace. Zabuza's partner? What partner? Kiba nearly yelled. I believe that sensei is referring to the hunter ninja that confronted him at the end of the battle. Shino reasoned, taking to heart Naruto's words. Very good, Shino, Naruto said, praising the bug user. Wait, if you knew that guy was working with Zabuza, then why the hell did you let him go? Angrily questioned Tazuna. Because I don't know for sure that he is Zabuza's partner. I can only guess based on what I have observed, sensei, Shino asked in confusion. A hunter ninja's primary purpose is to protect the secrets of their village from outsiders they hunt down and eliminate missing mean for this purpose as well. Although you may not realize that the methods in which you train can tell a great deal about how our jutsu are developed. It is because of this that a true hunter would not hesitate to dispose of the body of his target in the quickest, most efficient way possible. However, because the person we encountered failed to do this, leads me to believe that he was not truly a hunter from Mist. But then again, I could just as easily be wrong about all of this. Yet whether I'm right or wrong doesn't matter at the moment. What matters is that there is the chance that I'm right, and if I am, it is better to prepare ourselves for that possibility rather than be surprised by it later. Naruto finished as the group at last reached the bridge builder's home. Tsunami, I'm home, Tazuna wearily announced as he and the others made their way into the simple home. Cameo, Tosin, you were gone for so long I thought the worst might have happened, said a dark-haired woman as she rushed from another room and embraced the old bridge builder. Their museum, thanks to these brave shinobi, I'm home safe and sound, Tazuna reassured his daughter before introducing the group responsible for his safety. These are the team leaders Kurenai, Yuhi, and Naruto Uzumaki, along with Shino, Aburame, Hinata, Hyuga, Kiba, and Izuka, and his partner Akamaru. Moving a slight distance from her father, Tsunami bowed deeply and said, thank you for bringing my father safely back home to me. I don't know what we would have done if anything had happened to him. There's really no need to thank us, Tsunami-san. We were simply performing our duty, Kurenai explained as the group returned the older woman's show of respect. Regardless, you have brought my father home to me, and for that I am eternally grateful, Tsunami replied as a small boy barreled from the top of the stairs to wrap himself around Tazuna. Inari, I was beginning to wonder where you were off to. The boy, now known as Inari, remained silent, but the faint sound of whimpering showed that the boy was crying at the return of his grandfather. Not wanting to intrude of the reunited family, Naruto subtly signaled for his group to give them time alone. After all, it was their job to keep the old man safe, and it was time they got back to it. So your master failed to complete our contract. What do you plan to do about it? Spoke a short pig of a man. My plans for the future do not concern you, Gato-san. With Zabuza-sama's death, I am no longer obligated to serve you in any fashion, and will therefore take my leave. Haku's hollow voice sounded from behind his mask. I don't think you get it, boy. I don't care Anything about your plans? I paid Zabuza good money to kill the old man since he went and got himself killed before he could do so. I expect you to finish the job, Gato said with a sneer that instantly put Haku on high alert. And if I refuse, well, that's an interesting question. For now, let's just say that it would be in your best interest to kill the bridge builder, otherwise you might be reunited with your former master a lot sooner than you expected. Besides, I would have thought that someone like you would welcome the chance to kill the person that killed your master, Gato laughingly replied as he turned and left Haku alone to consider his words until Tazuna-san completes his bridge. We remain on standby, however that does not mean that we will be idle. Starting tomorrow we will split into 2 teams. One team will accompany Tazuna-san to and from the bridge each day to ensure his and his men's safety, while they work the second team will spend their time training and watching over Tsunami and Inari. Because Naruto-senpai and myself are the senior officers, we will alternate between leading one of the 2 team. Now because we have an odd number, you 3 will alternate between training for 2 days and standing guard for 1 in rotation, beginning with Hinata, then Shino, and finally Kiba and Akamaru. Does everyone understand? Kurenai explained as each genin nodded with a look of barely contained anticipation. Not that she could blame them after witnessing both his bout with Kakashi in the battle with Zabuza. It was painfully clear that there was far more to Naruto than any of them knew, and a chance to be trained by the boy Phenom was a chance none of them was willing to let pass by. Good, then in the morning Kiba and I will be on guard duty while Hinata and Shino will spend the day training with Senpai. Until then, return to the house, get something to eat and some rest, because you'll need it for tomorrow, the ruby-eyed Jonin said, watching her team bow and leave her with her fellow Jonin. I don't know if I should be happy that they are excited about training with you or jealous that they are excited about training with you rather than myself. I wouldn't worry too much about it right now. They look at me and see someone their age with abilities they can only dream about. They look at me and ask themselves, how did he do it? How did the dead last, the worst student to ever step through the gates of the academy, turn into me seemingly overnight? They have no idea the hell I had to go through to get where I am, Naruto casually replied. And will you tell them no if they haven't realized that there are no shortcuts through life by now? Then after tomorrow I promise you they will, Naruto said truthfully, causing Kurenai to wonder if her team would be up to the task. Having spoken to Kurenai about her current training regime, Naruto decided that rather than introduce his temporary charges to something that would be wholly foreign to them, he would reintroduce them to the fundamentals. Alright, before we begin, let me make one thing clear. If you think I'm going to teach you some kind of instant power-up, you had better rid yourselves of that thought fast, because I'm living proof that there's no such thing. Also, considering that we're on a mission and have no idea of how much longer it might last, I'm not going to be showing you anything that radically departs from what you already know. Instead, we will be focusing on the fundamentals, and before I get any objections, I can imagine how thrilled you must be about this type of training, but I can promise you that within the next 2 weeks you will understand my reasoning. With that said, I've been observing each of you for a while now, and I will say that for basically raw genin you each show promise. However, don't for a second think that there isn't room for improvement. Therefore, I've devised programs for each of you that are designed to help you to smooth out some of your trouble spots. Kiba, since you're on guard duty today, I'll be going over your program tomorrow. You're dismissed to join Kurenai-sensei and Tazuna, Naruto said after seeing that the others were ready to leave for the bridge. Shino, I'm aware that your skills for the most part revolve around your interaction with your colonies, which isn't a bad thing. However, should you ever lose them, then you would quickly find yourself at a great disadvantage against an enemy. So with this in mind, we will first focus on the strategic thinking and then on close quarters combat. In terms of strategic thinking, I'm going to teach you how to best use your allies to achieve maximum results with minimum loss. Of course, I know that you clan already teaches this to a degree, but it never hurts to look at things from another perspective. As for close combat, we'll be focusing mostly on defense and silent killing techniques as a means of conserving your allies for when they are truly needed. After all, just because you have a tool at your advantage doesn't mean that you're obligated to use it for every job, Naruto explained, earning a nod of understanding from the Aburame. For you, Hinata, I'll admit that at first I wasn't sure what to do with you. Don't get me wrong, the gentle fist is a formidable form of taijutsu and your skill in its use is impressive. However, for you the style just doesn't seem to fit very well. Unfortunately, in the amount of time we have, I can't really help you fix that problem, so what we will be focusing on is your speed and timing. If we can increase your overall speed, then we will be able to cover some of the holes that are left open in your defense when you transition from one stance to another. Now, before you get too caught up in your weaknesses, let me emphasize that at you level your skills are great, but should you ever face an opponent faster than you or who is familiar with the gentle fist, then you would be at a disadvantage. As for timing, I'll be teaching you how to pick your moments. I know it sounds vague and somewhat asinine, but I promise you that if you can get this skill down, your effectiveness in close combat will double. I'll try to do my best, Naruto-sensei. Hinata replied with a slight blush coloring her alabaster skin. Good, let's get started. Kiba clutched his head in frustration as he stared at the shogi board. Nearly a month had passed since the genin had begun their training with Naruto, and each had excelled in the programs that the blonde had laid out for them. Well, that is, except for Kiba. Like the others, Naruto had decided to focus on training Kiba to overcome a weakness, namely his tendency to rush forward without thinking. Thus Kiba's training consisted of learning to think and analyze a situation before blindly rushing, and through hours of playing shogi against one of Naruto's clones. This is stupid. How the hell is this supposed to be training? Kiba yelled as he angrily flung the board from the table and scattered the pieces across the room the same way it was the last time you asked. You need to learn to be patient and to think before you act. If you can learn to do that, then the strength and speed you already possess will be enough to defeat almost any enemy, the clone replied as he picked up the game pieces and motioned for Kiba to start the game anew. By the end of their second month in Wave, Naruto was beginning to feel as though something was very off about the entire situation. Is something wrong, Sensei? Shino asked the blonde as he finished his patrol of the area. Have you ever noticed that the worst storms tend to follow behind a sunny day? Replied Naruto, causing the bug user eyebrow to raise in a questioning manner. I'm not sure I understand your meaning. There's a storm coming. I'm not sure when or how, but it's coming, and if we aren't careful, then when it's over we may find that we've all been swept away, Naruto cryptically answered, before leaving to begin his own patrol, never knowing that he was more correct than he could have imagined. With only 2 days left before the bridge would officially be open, Kurenai and Hinata watched over the workers as the final touches to Tazuna's masterpiece. I can't help but think that this has all been just a bit too easy, Kurenai offhandedly said, gaining the attention of her student. Sensei, think about it. 2 months ago when we first arrived here, the first thing that happened to us, that Zabuza attacked, fully intent on killing Tazuna San and anyone who got in his way. Even though he failed, we know that he was acting alone and that he had been hired by Gado. Given those things alone, I would have expected that either Zabuza's accomplice or someone else hired by Gado would have tried something by now. But here we are with the bridge all but finished and nothing. There's been no sign that anyone was ever after Tazuna-san or that they wanted to destroy the bridge. Kurenai, reason maybe we were wrong about Gado and he doesn't really care about trying to control Wave, or maybe he figured that it wasn't worth it after how easily Naruto-sensei was able to kill Zabuza. Hinata replied, trying to put a positive spin on their current situation. Perhaps, but I doubt it. From everything we know about Gado, he wouldn't just give up on something like this, especially not after going through the effort of hiring Zabuza. No, we're missing something. I just can't seem to put my finger on it. Well, maybe I can help. An unknown person spoke, gaining the attention of the two. Kunoichi, looking towards the end of the bridge, a short chubby man fixed his eyes on the two women. An aged bridge builder. I have to say that I was intrigued when I first heard that the old drunk had managed to hire himself some protection, even more so when I learned that said protection had somehow managed to take out Zabuza, especially given that he was supposed to be this legendary swordsman. But I suppose that should teach me not to just hire someone based on rumors. Still, what's done is done, and there's no reason to keep reminiscing about the past when there's so much to do in the present, said the chubby little man with a lecherous sneer that caused Hinata to involuntarily shudder. Gado Tazuna answered Kurenai's unasked question as she sized up the man before her, sneering at the frightened expression. Gado casually examined a cigar he had taken from his jacket pocket before snipping off the end. Mrs. Gado, began Kurenai. Yuhi. Yes, Mrs. Yuhi, regardless of what some might have told you about me, I am nothing more than a humble businessman trying to make the best out of a bad situation. You see, Tazuna-san and I have what you might call a misunderstanding about the way the shipping world operates, and it's something that I feel needs to be worked out amongst ourselves rather than have outsiders such as yourself and your companions interfering in what is already a delicate situation. Therefore, if you would be so kind as to leave and allow Tazuna-san and myself to conduct our business, I'm sure that I can make it worth your while, Gado said with a slickness that could be described as something best attributed to a snake. I understand how a misunderstanding can indeed lead to larger issues if not properly resolved. However, Tazuna-san has retained myself and my companions to serve as mediators in his dispute with you. Therefore, I am afraid that we cannot in good conscience simply abandon that responsibility, replied the ruby-eyed Jonin. I see. Well then, if that is your decision, I suppose that there is little reason to continue this discussion, Gado returned as he lighted his cigar and drew on it. I was hoping that you would be more accommodating to my request and simply hand over Tazuna, but it seems that you would rather do things the hard way, continued Gado. Just as close to 100 bandits and thugs appeared behind him. Do you think a few bandits will be so much of a challenge to train? Ninja Kurenai asked, as if Insulted by the fact that their skills were thought so little of against the two of you, maybe not, but since they will be fighting only yourself, my men shouldn't have too much trouble, snickered Gato just as Haku appeared and began to ruthlessly attack Hinata, forcing her to retreat further away from the bridge. Hinata Kurenai yelled as she moved to support her student, only to have several of Gato's hired thugs block her path. Alright boys, she's all yours, just make sure that she's dead when you get done having you fun with her, Gato laughingly spoke as several lecherous grins spread across the faces of his men. Naruto watched with keen interest as Shino and Kiba spared, and from what he observed it was clear that the past months of training had served to improve each boy's overall abilities. In the case of Shino, he had almost instantly taken to heart the teachings of his temporary sensei, diligently working to find new and unexpected ways to use his insect allies. Shino had quickly discovered that his colonies were capable of performing tasks that he had before thought impossible given their size and number. Kiba, on the other hand, had shown anything but enthusiasm when it came to Naruto's training methods. When the genin had first been told that the blonde Enigma would be training them, he was beyond excited about the prospect of learning a new and powerful technique. However, those hopes were dashed when the blonde had explained that they would be focusing on the basics for Kiba. This meant teaching him that rushing forward into an unknown situation while relying on strength alone would not always lead to victory, that oftentimes the winner of a shinobi battle is the one who has planned ahead and prepared for the confrontation. Thus Naruto had required Kiba to learn to play shogi, his reason being that shogi was a game of strategic planning, and that if Kiba could learn to combine this philosophy with his already impressive strength, then he would become a force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately, as thought out as Naruto's plan for Kiba had been the simple fact that Kiba was Kiba rendered the entire exercise pointless. Instead, Naruto was forced to teach Kiba his lesson the old-fashioned way by repeatedly beating it into him, and although it was not his ideal method of training, in time Kiba had learned what Naruto wanted to teach, so that now Kiba, although still not advanced as Shino or Hinata, was far stronger than he had been when the group had first arrived in Wave. That's enough for now. You've both done exceptionally well, and I'm proud of each of you. If you continue to excel in the manner you have, I'm sure that you will each make Chunin in no time. Naruto complimented the male members of Team 8. Hey, thanks sensei, but since we're doing so well, how about teaching us something a bit more destructive? Kiba asked with a hopeful gleam in his eye. I'm sorry Kiba, but I promised Kurenai sensei that I would teach you anything beyond what I already have as your primary sensei. I left it to her to approve any training that I gave to you, replied the provisional Jonin before he noticed Shino's demeanor suddenly change. What is it, Shino? There appear to be several unwelcome guests approaching Tazuna-san's home, the bug user replied, instantly turning deadly serious. A single clone appeared and dispelled as the trio dashed off in the direction of the bridge builder's home. Can you tell their number and distance? There appear to be at least 20 with chakra levels that do not appear higher than that of your average genin. They are approximately 800 feet from the house. Shino returned as stoically as ever. Good work, Shino. Considering their number, we need a plan before we attempt to engage them. Do you have any ideals? Kiba, hi sensei, I think we should try to split them up in order to make their numbers more manageable, and maybe if the opportunity presents itself, to pick a few off before confronting the main group. Kiba answered, alright, we'll go with that. Considering their numbers, the enemy has undoubtedly been warned of our presence, but despite this we retain the element of surprise. You two will split up and stay out of sight, attack them from the shadows, and try to get some of them to chase after you. Kill all that you can, but do not engage them directly unless absolutely necessary. I have already notified my clones that are protecting Tsunami and Inari, and they will be waiting to welcome those that manage to get by you once you have competed your parts. Regroup at the client's home and assist the clones in securing the area. Do not worry about them. Despite being clones, they each possess my knowledge and the ability to use a number of my abilities. In the meantime, I'm going to the bridge. If Gato sent that many of his men, then he is aware of our movements and has targeted those he feels are the weakest of our team. Are there any questions? Naruto explained his plan for dealing with the assailants. No sensei, the genin replied. Then go, Naruto ordered as he vanished in a flash of crimson, while the genin branched off to accomplish their given task. Trapped inside a dome made of ice mirrors, Hinata twisted and turned as best she could as Senbon after Senbon rained down upon her. From almost the moment Haku attacked, his pattern had repeated itself like some hellish waltz of death and destruction over and over. Hinata struggled to free herself from the masked devil's dance, only for his constant attacks to drive her back while striking at parts of her unprotected body. Had anyone been watching, they might have thought the scene something of beauty, something to be learned and repeated, but for the dancer it was nothing more than a slow march to an inevitable end. I want you to know that I'm sorry, I never wanted any of this to happen. Haku spoke with something likened to remorse in his voice even as he drove Hinata movements. I find that hard to believe considering where we are. If you truly do not wish this, then why continue down this Path pantingly replied the Hyuga heir as Haku held his hand as to consider how to answer. Do you have anyone in your life that you would do anything for? Is there someone so special to you that you would face any hardship if you thought that by doing so would brighten their day? If only for a moment. Do you owe someone so much that giving up your own life would not come close to repaying the debt? Haku asked as he casually looked down on Hinata from inside one of his ice mirrors before continuing on. Zabuza Momochi was my precious person. I owe him everything. I have everything. I am everything I might ever become. He found me close to death and took mercy on me, trained me, and gave my life purpose. The debt I owe Zabuza-sama cannot be paid in gold, silver, or jewels. It is a debt that can only be paid with blood. I have watched your group over these past week and I have learned much about all of you, but the thing that I have learned that will allow me to repay my debt to my fallen master is this: of all his comrades you are the most precious. He cherishes you all, but you are more important in some way. How? I neither know or care. As long as your loss causes him pain, I will be satisfied, Haku said as his voice grew colder with each spoken word. You saw for yourself what he did to Zabuza. If what you say about his feeling for me are true, then you have to know that if you do this you will suffer the same fate as your master, replied Hinata as she managed to stand once more, turning his masked face to the ground. Haku stepped from his mirror and paused as if to weigh meaning of Hinata's words and action that for a moment gave the future clan head a fleeting sense that everything would be alright. However, that moment proved to be all too short as Haku lifted his mask to reveal a face consumed by sorrow and regret. I do, Haku simply answered before drawing a kunai and slitting Hinata's throat.